Hey folks, it's Frithgar here, how you doing? I have brought the Arcusin stacker back from the shop so that we can start getting up some of these bales. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to gather up a few bales around the edge here and up that side, up the top there, so that we can start the rake and everything. We can just get that going again. And then hopefully that combine will be just about finished. We'll empty out the trailer and we're going to get the T6 onto, I think it's T6, onto the Arcusin here. This Fent can then go back on the baler, and hopefully we can just sort of set the hired help and the auto follow, the follow me rather, going on this field, and we'll do that one over there. When we come to harvest that field, we're just going to chop the straw, so we're not going to have to worry about bales, but I did want to do some like this, and I'm thinking that what we'll do is we'll stack them down here at the bottom of the field, and then later on I would like to, actually yeah, we'll probably stack them over there, the other side of the hedge. It'd be a bit easier. And then we've got bales that we can use for the cattle, so we're not going to need to have to come back and do this again. But anyway, my weekly question for this week is I am planning to plough up a few more fields. I know that we've got lots here, and we're not going to be using it all at once. We do kind of have enough, but I thought it would be interesting to go and plough up the grass fields somewhere. So I'm either going to plough up the two biggest square fields, which is 23 and 24, or the other two big fields, really, 18 and 19, the odd-shaped fields with the curves and everything in. I thought that might be interesting doing that. Or we will do 4 little small fields over here, where we've got to go sort of, you know, manage going in through the gateways and everything. And because they're small fields, and I think it's small tracks as well getting up there, it could be interesting moving the machinery and everything up to them. I'm deliberately picking ones that are as far away from the other farm, from the rest of the farm as possible, so that we've got to get through the fields and through the gateways and everything in order to get to them, just to try and keep it interesting. So do you want 23 and 24, the two down here, the two odd-shaped ones, 18 and 19, or these 4, 34, 35, 37 and 38? It's your vote, it's your game. Head into the comment section down below, let us know which one you'd want and why, and of course don't forget to actually cast your vote in the top right hand corner. Now, if we come up here and start gathering these up, we'll just get these 3 here for a minute, and then we're going to spin round and we're going to start getting the ones over that side. And yes, I am just pointing at the screen again. I do that a lot. I find I really do find that I do that a lot. I point at the screen even though nobody can actually see it. Yes, well, there we go. Combine is at 77% full, but he's very nearly finished over there, so it's not going to be very much longer before he's away with that particular little project. So we'll get this bale here and that one. I don't think we're really going to need to worry too much about all of these bales up here. We will just gather a couple of them up, because then we can start filling this machine up. I'd like to get the rake and the baler going as soon as we can get them going, and then we can come over here with the New Holland and carry on doing this with the New Holland instead of this one, and that way we can sort of keep the whole project moving along quite nicely. So yeah, we're not actually planning to make money from this straw, because we're going to keep it for the cows. So obviously once we've got the sheep up to the right numbers, and I did say that I would ask you again what whether or not you wanted me to go and buy more sheep, or if you wanted me to pause the getting 500 sheep at, I think we said 300. We're on 246 sheep now. It's saying wool 100% up in the top left with the glance mod. It's not actually at 100%. Well, it is. The pallet is at 100%, but there's still space for 3 more pallets. I've been up there and I've checked. So we've got plenty of space for pallets up there. We don't need to worry about that. We just need to, yeah, just got to keep an eye on it all. So let me just come down here and I'll get that bale over there as well, and then I will chop down through and get those 2 at the bottom, and that'll be a full trailer full, because it's 16 bales on the trailer. So this is number 14. Grab that one. There we go. And come down through here, and we will get, I shouldn't really be driving on the swaths of straw. We should leave those undriven. There we go. There's that one. And finally we want that bale there. So we'll tip these out down the bottom. Then I will unhitch this Arcusin stacker. We will go and empty out that trailer up there. And after we've, the combine rather, once we've emptied out the combine, we'll come back over here again. I want to try to keep everything moving, like I said. I'm well, we'll return the combine after we finish this harvest, because that's obviously going to wait until tomorrow. Although, you know, I am wondering, maybe we should just we'll hang on to the combine, so we don't have the initial leasing cost again. We'll hang on to that combine just a little bit longer, and harvest that field there. Then when we've done that, then we'll return it, and we'll see about planting more crops after that. Because we've still got to plough up that bit in the middle, so then we'll do this field again. May only do it once more. I think field 2 would be a good one to do, but I would like to go and do those 2 fields down there as well at some point. Right, I'll leave that one there. I will go and get that one emptied out. I'm also then going to go and change the tyres on the Ford, the New Holland rather, and then I will meet you somewhere. Right, we will come whizzing along here and go and hitch on the Arcusin with this one, although first we're going to get that baler going. The combine is almost finished. Now, I said last episode, or the one before, I can't remember which, but I said that I'd been told that it's pronounced Sampo Rosenlev, not Rosenlu. Other people have commented and said, well, actually, no, I was pronouncing it right the first time. So I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that really it depends where you're from as to how it's pronounced, because if you're in Eastern Europe, W is pronounced as a V. I know several Eastern European people. I know one with a daughter called Victoria, and it's spelt W-I, and not the sort of the Western approach to it, which is V-I. It's spelt W, but it's pronounced Victoria, not Victoria. And so if you live in Eastern Europe, then yes, it probably is a Sampo Rosenlev. If you live in the West, in the US, UK, western parts of Europe, Australia, well, lots of other parts of the world, then it would be Sampo Rosenlu. So I don't think that, you know, there's a right and there's a wrong way to pronounce that one. So I will just go back to calling it a Sampo Rosenlu, because that is what I have been calling it previously, and it seems to be the right one for my area. So I think that's how I think that we're going to approach that one. So I don't think there's a particular right and wrong. Right, that combine looks like it's finished, so that one we'll move that one over. I've got a little bit of wheat left in it, but we'll go and just sort of put that over the grain storage area, and it'll drop it out through there. That is very, very high on that PTO, look. That is a very sharp angle on that PTO. It doesn't look quite right. Let's start this one up. But the thing is, well, it's already lowered down, isn't it? It's already lowered down to the ground, so it doesn't really matter. But that point, it just doesn't seem right. Yeah. Anyway, there's not a lot that I can do about that. So let me come over here, and hopefully this is going to work. I really don't know if it is or it isn't. This is just kind of going on a hope and a prayer, really. And let's come over like that. And we're going for the standard hired help for this. Yes, it's on normal. So I will leave that one there a minute, and then we come up here to this tractor and we put it behind, and we set the follow me going. Follow me is available on Modhub, that's where I get it from. And just come on round. Yeah, it's on Modhub, and it's obviously it's only PC because it's a script. Right. Ooh, no, hang on. I've got to lower and start the baler. Then we come up onto here, and I'm gonna just press H. Oh no, it's doing it fine. It did come forward a bit and sort of got a little bit confused. And how is it going to cope now? Excuse me. Right. That's actually, I think, going to cope all right. It might leave little bits. It does tend to leave little bits, but we could always go round the outside and just do one more pass just to tidy everything up. The tractor will struggle a little bit, I guess, to try and get round that corner. It's a very tight corner that it's having to turn, and I don't particularly like the fact that it's got to turn so sharp, but it's acceptable. It is baling. Stop right there. Yeah, so it is going to leave little bits behind, but generally it's not going to be enough to cause any issues, I don't think. This is brilliant. We've got fully automated raking. I'm not actually doing anything. I'm just sort of along for the ride at the moment. This is fantastic. It's working really well. Oh, this is ideal. Right, we need to get down here because we got to clear the rest of the bales before that one. Actually, no, I think we're gonna have to get over there really quickly because I don't want it catching on the bales. Because it didn't stop previously. It didn't count the bale as an object. It just kept trying to drive through it. So I'll go and get that tractor. We'll get up and we'll start picking up these bales up here. I did just go over and sort out that combine. I've also temporarily just stopped the Linder a minute because it's getting quite low on the field here. It's going to start hitting these bales, which we really don't want. So if I just grab the bales up this side, we can then start it again, and then we can go and get the bales around the rest of the field and get them stacked up down the bottom here. Just get that one on there. I suppose really we could just, well, we don't want to leave the bales outside. This is New Zealand. It rains a lot in New Zealand, so we don't want to leave these bales outside. We've only got the small auto-load trailer though. I'm wondering if we ought to consider getting another one temporarily. If we got a second one, we could even get a bigger trailer and run the bigger one just while we do, gather up the bales, and then we could go back, return the bigger trailer, and we just stick with the small trailer, because we're going to be getting a lot of bales from here, and we're going to want to be able to put them somewhere. So let me just come over and easy, go too fast. Right, we get that one and this one down here. I will, you know what? Let's just get all of these. We'll pick up all of these while we're here. And then we can go and start the Linder going again. The engine's still running on it. And get that bale there. And then we will turn round. And so that we can go up beside the Linder, we can start that one going again. Then we'll go out in front of it and we get those bales. And that should then be okay. So we got fully automated baling. Now, I did not think that we would actually have a way that we would be able to do this. And as such, I'm really, really rather pleased, because what this means is I can instigate this same thing on Rattlesnake Valley on the time-lapse, and I will be able to do more baling. Being able to completely automate it like this is, yeah, this is just fantastic. A bigger rake going along in front, because the speeds that they run at, I think the... I actually think that the rake runs faster than the baler, doesn't it? No, it doesn't. No. It goes a bit slower than the baler, which is actually what you want. You want it to go a little bit slower than the baler. So let me just start that one up again. Let that one go there. That one does... Where's the job to tell? It's about 18 kilometers an hour. I'm not sure what the baler itself does. So we do need to get over in front of that pretty quick so that it'll go and do the... Right, let's jump into you. I know that it's stopping at the moment. Or maybe that does 18 as well. Not a huge difference in it, really. Right, but anyway, that's help at E, so that's just going to keep stopping every time that the rake gets in the way. That's fine. Let's jump in here, and there he goes. See how he handles the lump in the straw there, the big clump. Bounces over a little bit, but generally speaking, that's brilliant. Fully automated baling. I genuinely did not think that we would ever be able to do that. And yeah, I'm just really absolutely chuffed to bits with this. Absolutely thrilled. I genuinely did not think that you'd be able to get fully automated baling like that. Because I did use the GPS mod when I was doing some baling. I've done that, so you can sort of set it so that it moves up and down where the combine was running. But it doesn't feel like it sort of feels like it's not quite the same, is it? It's not actually fully automated baling, because you still got to sit there and you've got to guide it through. But this is properly automated baling, and there's no sort of question as to whether it's automated or not, because I'm nowhere near those tractors, and they are raking up all the straw and turning it into bales. I am so thrilled with this. I'm actually tempted to go and do some more straw. Maybe we'll do more straw over there. No, actually, you know what? I don't think we will, because obviously this isn't like a time-lapse map. I can't just do the same thing for ages. Time-lapse is completely different. It's a different completely different rule set that we have when we're doing that. Here we gotta have variety. We've got to keep it interesting. So yeah, we will chop the straw. This one can keep going like this. I do like the fact that we can have jobs going and then we can go off and do some other things. That's always handy. And we will see how much straw we get as to whether or not we keep all of these bales. So let's just bring this one over here, and you press Y to unload, and that will, it brings the front up, then it tips the bales up like this. You know what, I'm going to cycle through. I know I don't normally like to do this, but I just want to cycle through so that I can watch this. Now, why did he stop? Why did he stop then? Was it something? No, it wouldn't have been the bale. But he did. He suddenly paused and then he carried on again. He was trying to decide whether he should. Yeah, see, he's done it again. It's just trying to decide whether it's reached the end of the row. It gets a little bit confused. I think it's partly because of the angle of the lines of straw, which is causing it. That's okay. We can live with that. Come on down through. And that's going to do one more pass up through that way, and then it's going to start working on that short line over there. So what we'll do is we will stay with it until it gets back up there, and then we will pause it momentarily so that we can go and gather the rest of the bales around that sort of leg of the field over there, unless we just set it going over here. No, we won't. We've still got to gather up bales over here if we do it on this side. This is so brilliant. I am so absolutely thrilled with this. It just sort of never occurred to me before to do it. I'm sure that people have actually asked me to do this. Have said, oh, you know, you can just set it going like that using Follow Me. People have frequently told me to use Follow Me. Same as people frequently tell me to use Courseplay. So now I'm starting to think, well, maybe we should use Courseplay. Maybe that would sort of keep things moving a little bit better. I'm not quite sure. I'll consider it. I will certainly consider it. Give me your arguments down below as to why I should or should not use Courseplay. That could prove quite an interesting read, I think. Now, is it going to... It's going to come up here. I'm going to let it actually... Right, yeah, see, it's just because there's, like, gaps in the straw. That's what's causing it to stop. I'm going to let it come up through here. And then I'm going to take it off the hired help now. And I'm going to come up through here like this. And we're going to go back over to the other bit. So if I come over here, I'll set it going, lower it down there like that. Across here. Yeah, I think this is actually going to work out really well, because it will go down through that bit without too much trouble at all. But I can keep going along here. The machine behind me, that's just going to carry on baling up. We'll get this little tiny bit here. And then I think I might actually just set the hired help going, and it's just going to do this tiny little bit of the field. If I just keep it going this way, it'll take a while because it's sort of wiggling backwards and forwards, but that's okay. That's something I can live with. We'll do it like that. That's it. Go on, you carry on. You're doing just fine. There we go. Right, and come back down to this one. This one's now emptied out. Press B to oh no, it's not emptied out. That's what happens when you zoom out and you don't well, you don't zoom out properly on your machine. So that one's lifted up. We press Y in order to bring it out like that, and then we press Y again, and that will start lowering the table back down. So we turn now, maneuver our way back round like that. Excellent. And the two spikes there at the bottom, they've got to lift back out the way. As soon as they are back out the way, then they will the bale pickup bit on the side, that will come up out the way. So what I want to pick up next, those there are fine. Those two will just carry on doing what they're doing for a minute. We will come down through the ditch here and start gathering up these bales over here. We want to get them on this side first. And come over. Oh, go on. There we go. Get that one. I got another one here. There's 3 or 4 more up there that we want to get as well. And you got to remember when you're using this one that it'll do 2 bales, so then it's got to lift them up and put them out the way before it can carry on and do the next 2. And if you're driving too fast, you can sort of catch the bales, and you end up causing yourself a little bit of hassle. It's not a huge amount of hassle, but it does. It just sort of, it'll hit the bale, but it won't actually pick it up. Let's come on round. The next one. Right, I got that one out the way. I will just get this bale. I know that we're turning it. The other problem that I have with this Arcusin is that it doesn't turn very sharp. You frequently find yourself accidentally turning too sharp on this machine. I mean, obviously here it's not going to do a great deal of damage. I think that the turning circle on it is actually a little bit better in real life than it is in the game. Although I don't remember, because I've only ever seen one working in a field, because the contractor that I used to work for, they didn't have one of these. It was a different contractor. Someone I know actually used to work for them, and he's seen it work. He never got to use it himself, but he did see it working a few times, and I seen it working once. I seen it, and I seen the stack of bales that it left in the field as well. It's great and all, but in real life you can't fill the thing right up and then leave the stack of bales in the field to start with. You've got to do it like halfway, and then you've got to do a few more, and then you've got to do a few more, so that you kind of step up the end of the stack, because otherwise they all fall over. When you press the other bales up against them to form a stack in the field, they end up all just toppling over, which is no good. You don't want that. You don't want your bales going everywhere, because they've got to stay solid, and then you've got to be able to put a sheet over them. The amount of straw that you stack up in the big straw fields, you store it outside. There's no sheds big enough for this stuff. And once you've got it all stacked up, then you spend most of the winter ferrying the stuff away. This is where it's sold from. I'm talking about the experience of a straw merchant. Someone I know is a straw merchant, and he buys all this straw, gets it all baled up, stacks it up, and then he spends the entire winter selling it, driving it around the southern half of the UK. So it's kind of a different thing to... Yeah, I know I've left the engine on, haven't I? It's different to just doing it on a farm for yourself, but at the same time it's also quite interesting. And let's come on through here. Is that one still baling? Yes, he is. So actually, in theory, if I just come up through here, that tractor will follow me. Although I've got to remember, he's only able to do 18 kilometers an hour. Excuse me. I'm a little bit croaky again this morning. Not quite sure why. I don't actually have a logical reason to be croaky this morning, other than the fact that it's morning. That might just be it. It might just be because it's morning, and that's what happens in the morning. Anyway, bring that one through there. See, he's picking up all of those little bits. Isn't it? We don't really need to worry about this. I know it looks a little bit untidy, but once you've cultivated or you've sown your seeds or whatever, you soon get rid of it all. So it's not really much of an issue. And how shall I do this? I think we'll actually we'll go down this other side. And we'll start it from there, so it'll come up once. I'm hoping that it's not going to leave massive amounts. We can always come back and we can pick up bales a bit later. I'd like to get this going again. Come on round. Right, there's the baler coming along. He's going to think about driving into us in a minute. There. If I go like that, press H. Yes, that's perfect. That's got just the right width on it there. The tractor and the baler is going to follow along behind. He shouldn't go very much further than that. Yeah, he's just picked up that little bit. He'll swing round. This is where we're going through the dip. I think that doing this kind of job in here after we plough up the drainage ditch, I think is definitely going to prove quite interesting. Yeah, there's definitely points in the ditch that it's not going to work very well on, but there are other points on the ditch that I think it's going to end up being a perfect solution. So yeah, we're just going to have to sort of play it by ear and see how that one works out. So I'm not sure at the moment. It's going to come round. It's up near the end of the field here. This is where it starts to get a little bit difficult with the standard hired help, because it tends to move over quite a bit, and because you've got quite a wide chunk that you've got to go through, it ends up that the hired help just gives up and stops because it can't sort of read very far away from you in the field. But that's a minor detail. I think it's just a minor detail. This is great. I can't begin to describe just how pleased I am that this works so successfully. We've done just about this entire field. Actually, we have done this entire field without me having to actually operate the baler itself. I set it going at the start, but now the tractor has done the rest of it. So that is just awesome. Awesome. Absolutely brilliant. And yes, I know Courseplay would be able to do the same for me. And yes, I am considering cosplay, but at the moment I'm still resisting. And I still have no idea why. I couldn't tell you even if I wanted to. But that's just the way it is. So, yeah, there we go. So, yes, the Arcusin stacker would stack up this huge, great big stack of bales. Now, normally, we would bring them in. We'd put them into little towers in the field. And we had a truck that would go along. The back end of the truck comes up. It would grab the whole tower, 14 bales, put it back down onto the back of the truck, and then it would drive back to where the bale stacks were. Great, perfect. Well, I'm just going to jump to the... wrong way. This one. I know I don't normally like doing this, but today I just sort of... It feels like it's the right thing to do today. Yeah, so you would... and you bring it back to the stack site, and then you would start building the stacks. And I spent many an hour building the little towers in the field, and when you've got a field of hundreds and hundreds of acres with it's just covered in bales, you know, you've got like a 200-acre field that's covered in bales, and you're the person that has got to stack them all up into towers of 14, it can be a bit of a soul-destroying job. I got to be honest. I have spent many, many thousands of hours doing that job, which is one of the reasons I don't like doing too much loader work in this game, because I've had my fill of loader work in this lifetime. So yeah, but then once the truck has done a lot of ferrying them back, you've just got lines and lines of stacks of bales, all in 14s. Well, you can't leave them like that. You need to get a load of them gathered up so that you can... where should we go? Well, that's my timer to say that we're just about out of time. Yeah, you can't just leave them like that. You've got to stack them into neat and tidy stacks. So that would be the other job that I would have to do, is every now and then, once there was loads of stacks there, probably a couple of days worth, maybe more, then I would go to these stacks, and you would start building them into the giant stacks of straw that would be there for between 6 and 9 months, is how long they would stay there. And you stack them 4 bales wide, 8 bales high, so the same height as what we're doing on this Arcusin stacker here. The one that I used to see in action, I think, was 9 bales high and not 8. But yeah, so we was 4 bales wide, 8 bales high, and I think it was 30 bales long. I think it was 30, something like that. It was basically limited by the insurance. The insurance dictated how many bales we could have in a stack, and then how far it had to go between stacks. And so there, and you bring it all the way back through, and it's quite an art building those stacks of bales, because if you like push them up too much at the top or the bottom, because you'd work in 4s, you pick up 4 bales and you put them up, and you pick up another 4 bales, you put them on top, and you do have to go quite careful with it, because if you push the bales too much, anything like that, you end up with a lot of bales toppling over. Now, a point of personal pride is that despite the fact that every other person that worked on the telehandlers at one point or another ended up knocking a stack over what they were building. So, I mean, it would only be knocked over in the first 5 or 6 rows that you were building. Beyond that, it would start to get a lot more stable, so it's a lot more difficult to have the thing topple over on you. But a point of pride is that despite everybody else having it fall over at least once, I never had one topple over, and I started doing that when I was 17. So I was quite young. I was definitely inexperienced. I know a lot more about that job now than I did when I first started, but I still never had a stack fall over. And yeah, to this day, as a point of professional pride. So there we go. The little towers in the fields, I had hundreds of them fall over. I built thousands of those towers, and I had hundreds of them fall over at one point or another. But the giant stacks, the ones that had to stay there for months, never had one fall over while I was building it, or after I'd finished and gone away from it. And then once you'd finished building it, you'd make sure it was all stable all the way round, and you'd leave it for... normally you'd leave it for 4 or 5 days, just in case it was going to move at all, and then you'd go back and you'd have a look at it and see that nothing was like leaning out anywhere at all. Looked to be no issues whatsoever. So long as it was okay, we would then sheet it, and you'd have these huge, great big black plastic sheets. Many farmers will be familiar with these. We use them for putting over silage clamps and things like that. So most farmers and also builders will be very familiar with this, because it's very much like the damp-proof membrane that we use to go underneath building sites as well. So massive, great big sheets of that. And you'd put one sheet, that would go right over the top of the stack. It would be over the top, like just level over the top of the stack. And then you'd have a second sheet that would go from the bottom on one side right up over to the bottom on the other side. So you'd take it up to the top of the stack, you'd unroll it, and it would cover part of the stack. And then you would do the same again with a third sheet, and that would cover the other half of the stack. So the only bits that were actually open to the elements that weren't sort of completely covered in by sheets were the two ends of the stack. So the long width of the stack, the long length of the stack, that was all covered top and sides, completely covered over, and it was only the very ends of the stacks that were uncovered. So there's very little wastage by doing it like that. Very, very little wastage at all. And the way that once you'd spread the sheet out, and you always had to do this really early in the morning because once the day starts to progress, you start to get a little bit of breeze. So if we were sheeting stacks, you would have to do that at we'd get up at like 5 and we'd be at the stacks for 5:30 in the morning, and start doing it then. I never particularly liked doing that. Let me go over to this one and switch this one off a minute. Control F and just switch him off. We'll leave that one there for a second. So yeah, I never particularly liked sheeting stacks. One, because of the ridiculously early hour that we actually had to have started. And two, because once you've done it, you would start putting bales around on the sheets. It's very, very difficult to pick a bale up with a bale spike, put it on top of a black plastic sheet up in the air, and then get the spikes to come out of the bale. Because this sheet is so slippery, the bale wants to slide off, and getting the bale to stay on there, you had to have 3 or 4 people who were up on top of the stack. You generally had 4 people on top, 1 person on the bottom, spotting and helping stuff down the bottom, and you had another person on the telehandler. And so if I was the person on the telehandler, it was always, you really had to be careful. You really, really had to be careful. It was such a dangerous job to do because it was so easy for those bales to slip when you're trying to take your spikes out. You pick them up with as little as possible, but you've got to have it quite close to the edge of the stack in order to have the sheet held down properly. So yeah, it's a very dangerous task to do. It's not something for the faint-hearted, and you had to be careful. You really had to. Everybody had to work together. You had to be really, really careful. And then once you got bales all the way around the top of the stack, you would then go and you'd have more bales put on top. You break them open, and you carry the clumps of straw, and you put them all over the top of the stack, and you do the same down to your bales all around the bottom. And yes, you would end up using probably 20 to 30 bales. Covering the stack over, and those bales were sacrificed. They would be no good for anything because they get rained on, they get spoiled, the straw's no good. But the number of bales that we had inside the stack, you know, you got 4 times 8 for 1 layer on the stack, right? That's 24 bales. No, it's not. It's 32 bales. Sorry. So we sacrificed 1 layer worth of bales for the entire stack, and these stacks would be, I think it was 30 bales long, right? So you got 30 times 32. That's the total bales in a stack, and 30 times 32, well, 10 times 32 is 320, so yeah, you got 960 bales in a stack, and you'd sacrifice 30 of them in order to keep the rest clean and dry and safe. And that was worth doing. It's worth the sacrifice. And so yeah, 960 bales in a stack. And yeah, so that was harvesting straw and gathering up all of these great big bales. I spent many summers doing that. I would go up to the straw fields in the UK in the beginning of the harvest time, and I would spend the entire harvest up there gathering up straw and stacking it. A few years I did actually drive the baler. I prefer doing that to stacking the straw. Driving the baler I found to be a better job, although to be honest it does get a little bit dull, especially when you've got fields that are a mile from one end to the other, and you're just driving up and down the rows of straw. It all gets tedious after a while. That's just farming in general. If you're working huge, great big fields, there is always an essence of boredom thrown in as well. But anyway, I have gone way over time as usual. Probably more so in this episode than I have. I think I actually managed to keep one of my episodes this week below 30 minutes, which is quite an achievement considering that I want all of my episodes to be just under 30 minutes, and I very, very rarely actually manage to do that. So anyway, my question for this week just go up here, and there we go. So we got fields 18 and 19, or fields 23 and 24, or the 4 fields over here, 34, 35, 37, and 38. Which of those sets of fields would you like me to plough up? It's your vote, it's your game. Head into the comment section down below, let us know which one you'd want and why, and of course don't forget to actually cast your vote in the top right hand corner. Yes, I would like to hear your views on... You know, I genuinely can't remember what I said I wanted to hear your views on today. I did say it earlier in the video, so this will show if you've been paying attention, because you'll be able to tell me what I want you to tell me, talk to me about. I genuinely can't remember. I've been sidetracked with dealing with the well, just telling you all about my experiences up in the straw fields. It was quite something. I used to really look forward to that every year, and I started working up there when I was quite young. I started working on the telehandlers when I was 17. It was brilliant. I genuinely loved my experiences up there, but I don't want to do it again. I don't want to do those kind of long hours on that job anymore. And now, you know, with my family and everything, I don't want to be spending 7 days a week, 14 hours a day, working on straw 200 miles away from my family. It's not something that appeals to me anymore. But back when I did it, I was single, I was young, I didn't have any commitments or anything. That's the kind of age that people tend to do these things. It's very rare that you find anyone who's past the age of 25 working those kinds of jobs. I mean, I'm not talking about the farming jobs, I'm talking about temporary harvest jobs. It's far more common to see people under 25 doing those jobs than it is over 25. I'm not saying that's a blanket across everyone, before anybody gets upset and starts saying, wait, hang on a minute, what about me? There's always, you know, there's all ages involved, but I'm saying that you're far more likely to find under 25s doing long hours with seasonal work. Yeah, anyway, I have really gone way over time now, so I'm going to go and deal with this, and then I'll move those over up to the other field ready for the next episode. If you've enjoyed this episode, then please head down below and give us a like, and if you really enjoyed it, then please tell your friends all about me, get them to come and watch as well. That would be awesome. But until next time, thank you very much for watching. This is Frithgar. Goodbye, and see you later.